Yo, this video is about magical thoughts. Like the magic side, like of your imagination and thinking and stuff. Holy. Notice how when you look at stuff like Mortal Kombat, Dragon Ball Z, or like Marvel and Capcom, right? You know those type of stuff, or Street Fighters, all these games and movies and stuff, right? You then realize that we all can do that. Remember how I said that the universe is composed of language, right? Sacred language, and it has meaning, while emotions control DNA and physical reality, while our Merkabas can make us transform and we can teleport into other dimensions and run through walls type of thing. Holy. So we could do all those stuff type of thing. But you want to know what it depends on? It depends on your vibration and your frequency. How you think. If you keep thinking negative, then how are you gonna do stuff like that? You have to think positive type of thing. But it's not just this thing about the thinking positive and the not thinking negative thing. It's like what you're thinking about. Don't you realize that all the stuff you're thinking about within this nature is like what happened on TV? Like what was on the news? You know, some of things. Or like, I wonder what that guy was saying behind my back. Like stuff like that. Or did the Seahawks win? Did the Seahawks win? Holy. Like, you see those thoughts? Like, those irrelevant thoughts that come up, right? But then you could have been filling your thinking bank with magic. Notice how, like, this is 3D life, right? And you can walk around my whole body and see me 3D. And I have my own thinking into it, at what I be thinking and stuff, right? But then when you go ahead and look at a video game or some movie, right? Then you look at the 3D aspect of it. You look at that 3D aspect like you're in that world, like that virtual world a little bit. You see? And you look at it 3D and you realize that those figures like Wolverine or Spider-Man or Sub-Zero, Raiden, Liu Kang, Quan Chi, Akuma, Hawk. You know, these type of people, like those like sick people. You look at them and then you realize that their whole being is not irrelevant thoughts. Like, what was going on in the news? Or something like that. Their whole being is like magic. Like, all the stuff they're thinking about is filled with magic. From their imagination. But can't you imagine Seahawks winning too? within this nature. You can imagine the Seahawks winning, or you can imagine going outside. But then, when these God-like people, like Hulk and like Akuma and Sub-Zero and stuff, right? When you look at them, their like whole thinking process is all about magic. Like, that's not just the positive thinking. It's that what they're imagining about. Like what they're downloading in their DNA. But you download the Seahawks winning. Or you download stuff that you see on the news. Or download swag. Like, or cool. That's so stupid. Like, that's so low vibrational. Like, don't you want to download something in your DNA that's like better? Like what all these like godlike people are doing? Why do you think that if you watch the Spider-Man movie, right? Then you see everybody like being just the pedestrians. You know, it's like the pawns like on the side. And they don't know what's going on, and they're low conscious. But then when you look at Spider-Man, like his thinking process is different. He's not doing that everyday thinking. Like his thinking is like all magic, all about like intuition and senses and stuff. Like he's going into his raw nature self. You don't see like everybody's being, like their whole existence of what they're like about in their side. Like their path. You don't see? Like you could right now meditate and get raw like imaginative thoughts instead of these like genetically enhanced thinking. It could all be like magic. No? Like look at Bruce Lee. Like what he's doing. Because his thinking process, like his whole being. Don't you see, like that's the metaphysical side of everybody. And based off of everybody's metaphysical side, right, it is what they do. Or what they're thinking or how they're feeling. Holy. So it's everything like that's invisible about the person. The invisible side of Bruce Lee, right, is making him do all this crazy stuff. Like all this like fighting that makes it seem as if it's impossible to do. That's his invisible side of him. Like his feelings, his thinking, his thoughts. No? But then, if you're sitting there, not creating as a co-creator, right? Then that's like the invisible side of you is what makes you now. You don't see, like, you can't do anything. Like, you're not interesting because your whole invisible side of you is all irrelevant. Like, you as a co-creator is like very like genetically enhanced and like plain. But all these other co-creators like have different, like better feelings than you. They have better visualizing and the whole thinking process of what they're thinking about. You don't have clarity? Like, it's possible for me, right, to do what Sub-Zero can do. All I have to do is work on it with my meditation and then do that same thinking as what he's doing, or the same feeling that what he's doing, or the same visualizing and imaginations and stuff, or getting chi energy that I have within. No? Holy, you don't see how like every figure like has its own like thing they're thinking about or what they're feeling. But like this figure Sub-Zero is because his little thinking, but then this figure can do the same as that figure if he does the same thing with the feeling and the imagination. But then the other figure is doing something different with Spider-Man abilities. Holy, like you don't see. But like to get you started a little bit, right? You have to realize that your suffering visions and your wishing visions are the same. Because notice how when you're imagining your suffering, right? You make it seem as if it's in the now. But, wait. You make it seem as if it's in the now. But like the wishing visions, right, are in the now too. Because you're imagining it. You don't see? You're both, like you're imagining both. So why are you making it seem as if your wishing visions are not in the now? If you're visualizing it, like how you're visualizing the suffering visions. They're both in the now. What do you mean, I don't have it? I'm not possessing it. Then how come you're possessing the suffering visions then? Don't you see, like, you're thinking both? That's clarity on that a little bit. But you want to know the difference between those two? Is that you download the suffering visions on purpose. Like, you download that on you. But then you don't download the things that you want. Holy. Like, you don't see? But you really don't want to download visions because nothing stains your being really. So what you really want to do is undownload everything and let go. But if you want your visual body like to be different, you're going to have to download visions you want. Like in that. So you can feel it. Holy, you have to feel those visions type of thing. Download it with meditation. But you really don't want to be attached to that. Don't be attached to the visual thing. You have to use that as a tool. Understand it and observe it with your awareness. Nothing stains your being. Fucking holy. So, when you meditate, think of the most magical thoughts, magical imaginations, not just positive thinking and that's it. Like, not just like those, what do you call it? Those little uplifting things for unholy spirits. Not like that. Like, you as an unholy spirit and then you have to think positive to uplift you. Not just that stuff. That's so stupid. Like, you should be thinking positive anyways. That's not even like the main thing. Like, you should be doing that. There's no reason to, you have to do it. So you can, you see what I'm saying, right? That positive thinking is level 1. Now you have to start thinking magical thoughts. And all these impossible stuff type of thing. Like, very creative thoughts. And you should start drawing more, too. Like, if you like drawing. Or something. Or if you want to do some art. Start doing that more. Convert that shit. No? Like, download all that art. You have to download some good stuff. Not just these thinking. This little human, brainwashed human process. You have to do all of it. Like, the magic, like the art, like your dreams, like the creativity too, like what you create. No? Like, on a higher dimension, higher frequency. You have to think higher. Higher than like this low frequency down here. Like everybody's like down here with their two eyes like this. But then people like me, like I'm up here in the third eye right here. And then I look down like this little awareness right here looks down at like the low frequency. While everybody's still here. I'm like up here like looking at it. Like like there's like a barrier or something. Like everybody's below the barrier of their two eyes. And I'm like on the top. I passed that barrier. I'm like up here like fucking sick with all these imaginative thoughts. And like magical thoughts and creativity and art. Just like Mortal Kombat. Or the Street Fighters. Or Marvel. Or Capcom. Those people like Spider-Man. And Wolverine and Nightcrawler. Type of thing. Holy. Akuma. Quan Chi. Shang Tsung. Like Raiden. You know those type of people? Like those sick people. Holy. So that's what so next time when you meditate, you gotta do that meditation. Like you have to do all this creative stuff and these magical thoughts, because if you're not gonna do that, then you will never like have real self-worth or like real pleasure, real power, like life force type of thing. Like real love, real truth, real faith, real sense, real clarity, real understanding, real what's that other one? Real perception, real grace, real paranormal, and real 13 singularity. And before I shut this video off, right? Let me give you one more fact, so you can have clarity on everything I said just now. Notice how we have an X element, right? And our melanin has connection to the X element. It's found in the air we breathe, while spirit means breath. And respiratory system, instead of respiratory, respiratory system, that's where that came from, that word respiratory. So you're respirating your spirituality, right? While spirit means breath, and the air we breathe has the X element, that's a spiritual element. X means unknown type of thing. It means unknown. That's where we get our paranormal power from. That's why X-Men is called X-Men, or unknown men. Because they had connection to the X element. And it's found in trees too. The X element in the trees while our ancestors are in there. And even that little show, that old cartoon, the Powerpuff Girls, right? X element. Chemical X, they called it. No? While the X element is a feminine principle. It's a girl. But there's 3 girls, Powerpuff Girls, with the chemical X. Holy. And there's more X things out there, like besides X-Men and the Powerpuff Girls. I forgot the other X's and stuff, but that's what it is, the X element. Like your melanin's like getting connected to that. And you can't really activate your macabre or have connection to that if you don't do magical thoughts or imaginative thoughts and stuff. Because you have to feel like you can go through a wall to go through a wall. Or You have to feel like you can teleport to teleport type of thing. But if you don't feel that you could do anything, if you don't feel that you could do anything you want, at least feel it, then you will never, like, activate your Merkaba. Like, you will never have connection to the X element type of thing. You will never, like, do stuff like Liu Kang and Quan Chi and Akuma and Ryu. You know those type of people? Holy. Let me name, like, a little more people. Like, just to make it, like, sick. And, like, Batman. No? Not Batman? And Superman. And fucking... let's say... Scorpion. No? Like Malak. Holy. That's pretty sick. Come on. Come on. That's pretty sick. Like, being compared to all of them. Like, all these, like, sick figures and stuff. And even, like, so-called Jesus, that's really Yeshua. Yeshua had, like, sick powers, too. So you could be like Yeshua. That's fucking sick. Holy. Anyways, I'm about to shut this video off. I think you know what I'm talking about now. You better be thinking magical type of thing. Like, for real. And get a big aura. Like, bliss your, like, spirituality out. You have to be a Holy Spirit. But get rid of the negative. Because then you can't raise your vibration into those possibilities. You're still a hell being. Like a brainwashed being. With low awareness type of thing. Still speaking irrelevant thoughts. While we co-creators are higher. Like, we raise our vibration on some real shit. With better thinking. Holy. 13 Love.